Tina Liu has settled in at her second homestay in Markham, but just a few months ago, the 16-year-old says her first host family stopped inviting her to eat dinner with them.
I would go downstairs and everyone had already finished and started cleaning. I had some water and went to bed hungry. So many nights I cried under my blanket.
Her problems didn't end there. Leo's parents paid about $16,000 for a custodian, a proxy for her parents mandated by the Canadian government if a visa student is underage. But when Leo came down with a bad case of pneumonia,
He charged me $300 in transportation fees to the hospital. He told me whenever he takes me to the hospital, I will be charged by trip and distance. I was very angry, but I realized I needed to be more independent.
a lot of the students take their complaints to the Centre for Immigrant and Community Services, even though it's not part of their mandate. They hear stories of people taking advantage of the teens, struggles with depression, and other alarming issues.
We've also heard of young girls who never had sex education, and they didn't even know they were pregnant, and so there are all kinds of messy situations.
CICS says the school boards that bring the young students in need to do a better job of protecting them, especially when Ottawa set a target to accept 450,000 international students by 2022. The most recent stats show we're already close to that number, with almost half living in Ontario.
If you're going to accept people that young, you should put in place a system to support them and not just leave them on their own devices.
At least one school board is pointing fingers at the federal government to regulate who can be a custodian. Right now, that person just needs to be a responsible adult and a citizen or permanent resident.
We as a district can disallow that custodian and tell the parent they need to replace that custodian. However, there's no mechanism with IRCC where you can file a complaint and they'll respond.
Ottawa says parents should determine whether the custodian is fulfilling the duties entrusted to them. With visa students paying up to $14,000 in tuition each year, advocates say these institutions all need to step up.
Classrooms need international students to fill the seats. I know tragedies happen to all Canadians, but for international students, they're just so much more vulnerable. We need to have a really good dialogue as to how we can plug the holes in this system, because it is full of holes right now.
So students don't have to fend for themselves, like Leo, who took it upon herself to find a new homestay and custodian.
Watching your piece there, Lisa, it sounds like everyone's just passing the buck, trying to blame someone else, asking them to take responsibility.
A little bit like that. Now, I also reached out to the Minister of Education in the province, since it oversees the school boards, and they said it was up to the school boards to regulate the homestay. So certainly a little bit of passing the buck there. But 2 years ago in British Columbia, the province passed regulations for homestays and custodians. So now they have to get mandatory criminal record checks and are subject to in-home inspections as well.
And this is big business. It's not like there isn't enough money in this industry to fund some kind of oversight.
That's right. It's really big business, Dwight. In fact, international students bring in $9 billion to Canada's GDP every single year. It sustains 123,000 jobs as well. So with this kind of money coming in, advocates are saying there's no reason why we shouldn't have more regulations in place to protect these students.
Hopefully somebody's paying attention. Thank you, Lisa.
You know,